This video will show how the Kaleido information engine can be used to perform data mart migrations and consolidations. If you're migrating a data mart, you likely have a logical data model that you can use as a starting point, either in Irwin or as a CSV file. Here's a picture of such a model. It shows the different entities and relationships between them. While this model is appropriate for IT personnel, it's not something that can be easily shared and understood by your business counterparts. Technical names are used, and it is difficult to read and understand. However, it would be useful if you could leverage these existing model assets to make the data mart migration go faster. Kaleido allows you to import these models into our business modeling tool. I will import an existing data mart model that I have in CSV format. When I do that, Kaleido tells me what information is contained in the model, and then it lays it out on my canvas. You can see that the names and labels are the same as what we would use in a tool like Irwin, very technical terms that aren't easy to share with or show to business users. However, most companies have standard documents or glossaries that they use to ensure consistency in the technical abbreviations used in their databases. With Kaleido, we can read in those names and labels and convert them from the technical name to the more descriptive term. So I'm going to import data from my term abbreviations document, select all the objects, and then regenerate the names for the selection. Now we can sit down with our business users and refactor this model to handle any new requirements we want to add to the migrated or consolidated data mart. And you could continue this activity for any additional marts that you import into Kaleido. As I refactor, I'll do one example where I've got product information. And it looks like I have a hierarchy here for my product groups, product categories, packaging information, product classification information, and so on. Once I bring this information together, I can create a logical grouping to define my dimension. This is an example of a construct that you normally don't see in a logical model. So I would go through this process until I have a model that looks like this. This model actually reflects what our business looks like today. I've got the product dimension, time dimension, my transactions here in the center, and so on. When I look at the client dimension, I can see an opportunity to future-proof my new warehouse. Kaleido supports the concept of inheritance and supertyping, so by creating a supertype around these customer types, I can then associate these transactions with the client supertype. Now when I receive a transaction, it will apply to either resellers, individual clients, and corporate clients. I don't need to maintain separate links to accomplish this, so when I begin bringing in sales from resellers, my warehouse will be already set up to accept them. Now that I've completed my model, I will deploy it to automatically build the warehouse. I see I have no errors in the model that I've put together. From the DIW Operations tab, I will deploy it to my selected warehouse, which is my new consolidated set of data marts. Everything that I need for the warehouse is now being automatically generated. This includes the landing zones, the staging tables for the data to be loaded into each object, and all of the normalized tables to store the information. We support popular databases including Oracle and SQL Server, and high-performance platforms including Oracle Exadata, Teradata, and IBM Netezza. To prepare the warehouse for access by BI tools, we also generate a denormalized schema such as a star or a snowflake, as well as the metadata behind BI tools, including business objects, Cognos, Microsoft Analysis Services, and QlikView. I've now deployed my model to a complete warehouse. Let's look at the warehouse interface that an administrator would use. So here's the warehouse interface that an administrator would use. I can see the model that I just deployed. To load the model, I'm going to create a new load controller. In this example, we're going to load product group information. I'm going to load data from an ODBC source that's my existing data mart using a connection called DM1. To extract the data, I'm going to call some SQL. Kaleido generates a map of the SQL query so you can visually see the lineage of the data. When you do this in separate ETL tools, you lose this lineage. But in Kaleido, we interpret it so it isn't lost. Next, we need to map the source fields to our model. This is another difference with Kaleido. Instead of mapping to a physical target table, Kaleido maps the source to the model. The model then takes care of referential integrity and ensures only valid data is loaded. In this example, we're also going to load product category information as well as product group information, and I'll create a single load controller to handle this information. Now that that is complete, I can see the load controller in my list of warehouse objects. Now I'll invoke that controller and run the job to load the data. I can see the progress of the job in my task monitor. It seems that my job is completed with a warning. Let's look at the log, and we see that we've had one record that's been rejected. Let's see why. On my Utilities tab, I can look at the load batch that found an error, and I can see at the bottom that I have a record that is missing a product category. One record failed, and it is held in suspense. If I go back to the business model and look at the diagram, I can see that product category is a mandatory field. So Kaleido just ensured referential integrity to make sure that only valid data gets into the warehouse. Once I fix this record, I can then incrementally load the warehouse from suspense. This brief demo has shown how Kaleido can leverage your existing model assets by importing them into the Kaleido Business Information Modeler, easily refactor those models for current requirements, quickly create a load controller to load master data and transactions, enforce the validation rules from the model, all without any programming or any third-party ETL tools. The model-driven automation for creating the entire warehouse environment and handling the data integration tasks is a key reason why Kaleido is the most agile and fastest to implement warehouse solution available, and is the perfect platform for rapidly migrating and consolidating your data marts into agile data warehouses.